Yo, we got a video here today, and we get to break down, have a little glimpse into the high standards. Some may say delusional. Let's have a look.
I've been noticing how men left and right have been losing their goddamn minds. Now that they're seeing that women are having high standards, or maybe they're just now discovering that women have had high standards, and they're also realizing that we don't need.
I think a lot of people have realized the standards were there. They're also wondering, why are you training to be an NFL mid linebacker and you're 5'3"? What's going on here? I understand if you're entering in some competition to do some heavy lifting, but why do some of these people weigh 250 pounds and they're not even 6 feet tall?
Need you guys. And y'all are not having it. And yes, it's the incels, the pick-me's, the misogynists of America are banding together once again to publicly display their disdain and disgust for women with high standards. High standards. Are they really though? Or are they standards that you'll never amount to even if you tried?
Well, some people can't. Some people can't be a certain body type. That's just impossible. And to some degree, some people will never be in the top 10%, top 5% of wealth. They just don't have the discipline to do it, and they also potentially don't have the skill that goes along with it. I mean, a lot of people might say, hey, I want to be rich, but do you want to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week sometimes? I mean, not everyone's putting their hand up for those kind of hours.
Okay, man, at this point, we're going to have a heart-to-heart because I need to understand, okay? We're letting y'all know that the Netflix and chills, the coffee dates, it's a thing of the past. We expect more from you guys. And here y'all are.
There you go. They give it up. They give it up for a Netflix subscription. They give it up for a Starbucks coffee, whatever it was. But now it's time to really roll out the red carpet. Now it's time to go back to the olden days, and they get to wine and dine. I mean, maybe fly them out to Paris. Why not?
Y'all are dragging us for that. I mean, from slut shaming to fear-mongering us into saying we'll never be white and we'll die alone. I mean, it's insane. Y'all are pulling.
That's not actually fear-mongering. That is the way things are going, the way that you don't need guys, and guys are starting to realize that the deal's not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. By 2040 in America, 50% of the ladies are going to be unmarried for their own reasons, and for the fact that ultimately the guys have to get down on bended knee. They got to go boys to men, play the violin, and get out the diamond ring.
Pulling out all of the stops. Like, can we get into the fear-mongering for a second? And like I said, the fear-mongering, the slut shaming, the telling us we're gonna end up alone and how we not wifeable. And I need to understand. I need to understand because y'all are pulling out all the stops to let it be known that women don't deserve to have high standards. And I need to understand where that's coming from.
They can have whatever standards they want, but they're going to get the outcomes that they deserve. They can say that they're a 10 out of 10, but they're still going to get their 4 out of 10 outcomes. They're not going to magically get those supermodel outcomes.
Because it's really weird. Because I'm quite sure if your mama came out and said the same thing to any dude that she was dating, you would want that. If your daughter came out with the same requirements.
That's interesting. My mum is dating. Well, I guess my mum is still married to my father, so I don't have to worry about the dynamics of dating. You've got mothers and daughters that are both single and of age and are competing for the dating. But here she's using the classic emotional blackmail of, well, you wouldn't treat your mama that way. You wouldn't treat your sister that way. I mean, people get treated the way they get treated, regardless of brother, sister. It doesn't matter. You're accountable for your actions.
West, you would want her to get all that and then some, but when it comes to other women, I don't understand how y'all magically think that y'all can go out into the world and treat other people's daughters like shit and then.
But who are you talking about? Are you talking about the guys that you're hanging out with? Because you can't just project that everyone's treating people like pieces of crap. But this dating, if people are consenting to this Netflix and chill, Starbucks, ghosting, one hitter quitter, right? One night stands, that's going to be the atmosphere. It's going to be quite hard to actually have long-term relationships.
You think y'all, the women in your family, is exempt magically somehow? Help me understand. Men, no matter how many times you slut shame us, you tell us we don't deserve anything.
She keeps bringing that up. She's a little self-conscious of her own body count, but now it gets projected that you're insecure. I mean, they want to know what job you do, whether it's an interesting job to brag to their friends about, or it's just a high-paying one, flip a coin. That's fine to delve into that. It should be all on the table, but it's not. It's like a one-way interview.
I'm laughing because it really baffles me. No matter how many times you tell us, our standards are too high, this and the third, especially though y'all are never gonna get married, you're gonna be single forever, blah, 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 blah. It's not.
That's a big deal though. Just think, it's not sunk in yet, but when half of a population in America that used to be sort of old school, traditional, getting married in a church, Baptist, Catholic, all of those things, now half of them aren't even married. And the majority of babies are coming outside of marriages now. And who knows what the outcome is 50 years from then.
The fact that you think it is. It's just not. It's not giving what you thought it was. And I'm gonna tell you why. Let's put on our thinking caps for a second. 20 years ago, you would have had us. 20 years ago.
And it was a bad deal then. 20 years ago, you could have had them back in the 2000s. And it might have been a bad deal in the 80s. Maybe it was an okay deal sometime before that. Maybe long before that. Who knows? But 20 years ago, you could have had a bad deal. And they still think it's a bad deal for them. I don't know if it's some kind of weird reverse psychology to try to bait you into getting married.
When that was our goal, go to college or whatever the hell, graduate college, graduate high school, get out to the workforce, find our husband, settle down, be married, have kids, etc. You would have had us 20 years ago. You still got the pick-me's to this day, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. However, nowadays, it's just you telling us we're going to be single forever is kind of sounding like a good time.
Sounding like a good time. I mean, as time progressed, the ladies were pushed and began to desire freedom and life of independence. Pushed from what? The magazines, TV, education. Yeah.
We are marrying ourselves, baby. We are taking ourselves to the exotic islands. We are buying ourselves the dream cars, ourselves the white picket fence house and with the 5 million dogs. And we don't even need y'all to get pregnant at this point. I mean, we kind of do, but then we kind of don't. Like, we just can go to the sperm bank, but you get what I'm...
You can just go to the bank. You can just go to the bank. Provided by who? That material that you get out of the bank, where does it come from? They like to brag. Hey, life comes from ladies. Yet they need to still go to the bank and get the ingredients. Can't do it without the ingredients. You might have the oven. You might have the oven to bake the bread, but you kind of need the dough. You kind of need the yeast.
You keep up. Come on, you can do this. And we just don't need you guys. We are buying ourselves the designer bags. Hell, we are becoming the bags, running our own multi-million-dollar business.
Great investment, by the way. We're buying ourselves the $4,000 bags to put our lipstick in our wallet that has minus 4,000 credit. I mean, great. You wonder why there's a sort of money gap. Well, some people invest in garbage and some people save. Some people actually don't spend that money straight away, believe it or not.
Etc., etc. I could go on. So,
don't.
You threatening us with singlehood forever, not being wife, not being...
It's not a threat. They love using this type of language. It's the reality. You're not interested, and guess what? Guys are hearing the message and saying, well, the deal's not even that great. And if you're going to have a bad attitude to boot, then you're making the decision real easy.
being married, it's giving a good time. It's giving don't threaten me with a good time. And for you men that are sitting here saying this whole threat of being single forever, number one, you're not that guy. Okay?
You're not that guy. Yeah. And here's the 4 out of 10. And that's being generous. Here's the 4 out of 10 saying, you're not that guy. And this is done up. This is done up to the nines. Who knows how much money is put into all of these cosmetics and weaves and hair and what's real and not real and who's fake and who's truly a dusty. I mean, take him to the water park and we'll see who looks like half decent.
You're not that guy. You will never be that guy. And number two, marriages are on the decline. Do you know why? Because women are no longer making that a priority. I mean,
but who has to produce the ring? Who has to actually... I mean, they love to say how much they turn down engagements. Oh, I turned down marriage. But are they successfully getting married and having grandchildren? They can't even get to certain stages in life without... You know, they can't even get past first base half the time.
Men, nowadays, y'all are not giving marriage material. Women have come to realize that you men are not providing the same benefits that came with marriage that you did 20 years ago today. The times are not adding up. It's definitely not the same, and it's no longer beneficial for the woman. Y'all are really...
You know what's not adding up is that in 1990, guys in America weighed a certain weight, and they were 5'8", 5'10". Now we fast forward today's time, and the ladies weigh more than what guys did, and they're 5'2", 5'3". They're giving up 6 inches. That's what's crazy. And you've got to keep on putting more food on the table. And the money thing is simple. The job market is saturated. Everyone's in it. Years ago, there was less ladies in the job pool. Years ago, there was less foreigners in the job pool. So wages have stayed stagnant, and the cost of living has always gone up. Inflation always going up.
Out here on Beyonce's internet talking about how you miss traditional women, but you don't embody a single fucking traditional male trait in you.
Here's the person dropping F-bombs at you in this sort of pseudo-masculine alpha frame, saying that you're not traditional, as they're shouting in your face. I mean, it's just laughable. No one on their side is sort of giving any sort of feminine vibes. And you wonder why they're the least married. This is, Kevin Samuels said, these ladies over here, least married of the group.
Y'all sit here all day about how you're an alpha male when it's really giving beta bitch. You're sitting here asking women, well, what do you bring to the table?
Beta!
Yeah. They've got to be the masculine. They can't ever go into a role. No way. They'll submit to governments because they vote for all of the garbage, but the actual role of being a mother, grandmother, no, they're just not about that. Clearly, they needed to be like trained into that type of role, and they just reject it.
Women need to be submissive to you, but you sitting here wanting to bring out 50-50. You want...
That's because that's the job market. The job market is 50-50, and there's preferential hiring in that market anyway. They're wanting to have 50% representation within CEOs, within the high-level jobs.
Do you want a roommate, sir, or do you want a wife? Because I'm confused. No, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, okay? Thinking Cav's back on again. Y'all make...
Well, in this scenario, it's a roommate. You're a roommate. You're not giving off any type of wifely vibes.
And here's the thing. I'm not talking about all men, because I know you keyboard warriors are ready. They're not all men. Shut up. If it don't apply, let it fly. We're talking to the dusties. Okay, Thinking Caps on.
And they have to talk to people that they think are beneath them. They've got a superiority complex and they go after the dusties, as they put it. They're already putting them in this box, this sort of subhuman box. I mean, she's going after the homeless people, I guess. Would you put homeless people in the dusty box? I mean, why not?
Let's get into it. Y'all want women to marry you and abandon her last name. Sometimes move out of her home state, move far away from her goddamn family. You want her to jeopardize and essentially fuck up her mental health, her physical health, her body to bring life into this world.
Then don't do it. Then put that on the table. Find a guy. Because there's actually lots of guys out there that don't want kids anyway. Then find some guy.
Beta!
Doesn't want it and is willing to put up with your sort of masculine energy. And don't sort of emotionally blackmail and say, hey, I'm giving up my body and my brain in order to have children. That's the thing. You want the mother and the father to both want the child. If you have this selfish type of attitude, then don't do it. Get the tubes tied so you don't have to have this mental stress. You don't get to sort of guilt trip the world for your own decision.
You want her to cook, clean, suck, and fuck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Be submissive. Don't talk back.
I love that one. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, in theory, it sounds nice. They could barely last doing it an hour a day. That's the funny thing. They project that guys want this sort of submissive attitude 24/7, and they couldn't even do it for a day if they tried.
And you want to go 50-50 on purchases and bills?
Bills?
Baby. I hate to tell you, it's giving delusion. It's giving mentally deluded.
Well, why even put up with the bills then? People can go into their own condos and, you know, roll the dice in town on a Friday night. Who knows? Or they just go out and pay for it direct at this point.
It's my civic duty to drag y'all whenever and wherever I deem necessary, which happens to be all the time. So let's talk about slush shaming, shall we? Ladies, this part is for you. Small little tidbit. Any man that's asking you what your body count is, run. And fast. Why?
And anytime a lady wants to find out what type of job you have and if you have a car and a house, just run. Because if they can't handle at your worst, then they don't deserve your best. Again, it's a one-way interview when you go on these sort of dating apps and what have you. But anyway, gents, we're going to leave it right there. As always, thoughts, comments, but low. And hit that like on the way out. It takes 1.5 seconds. And smash that subscribe button right now. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.